Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Pinaki. Yeah, you can share your screen and show me what you need.
Um, no, I just have one question. Just
Uh-huh.
actually, in in view part, we created one button in
Mm-hmm.
view level and added the press event and that method name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we have seen how to create the button in a controller level. So in
Right.
controller sap.aim.button, we get an object by new operator, and then after that we're doing. But how to
Mm.
add that trace event in controller part
No, you can add it, right? Press same like property. Only
and
see instead of
function name
providing
as
the
well?
value. Wait, I'll share my screen and I'll
Yes,
tell
yes,
you.
yes. Could you please do that?
Just let me know once my screen is visible.
Yes, it is
Is it
visible.
visible? Okay. Okay, let me go to the controller part. See, this I've already added here. Pinaki. See, there is one way that you can add the method name like this, or otherwise you can directly declare like this. Within that press add function o event, and inside this you can add the code. Okay,
Uh, okay, okay,
you got it right now.
uh, okay, okay. Press
Okay, so this is the way to add the press event when it comes to the controller. If you want, I can just ping this
So,
code in the
so,
chat.
so if you want a fresh button creation from controller part, we need to get the class name instance and we can add the properties, right? And if
Right.
suppose already one button is already there in view level
Mm-hmm.
and we want to manipulate the things, then
Mm-hmm.
this dot get view dot by ID
By
need
ID.
to
Right.
for fresh creation, we need to get the class and add the properties, and to manipulate the already existing one, we need to get the view ID, and then we can do the standard methods.
Yes.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think yeah we can start with this controller part. Okay. So guys, in previous session, we have started with the resource model. And so this resource model, right, it is one kind of a concept which works with the I18. So we have a concept of I18 in SAP UI5. So what is I18? I18 is nothing but it is internationalization. Internationalization means keeping all of your applications hard-coded text or the text which is going to be translated in different language. So all that text we will be keeping in one central place. Okay, or we will store that all the text in the central location. Okay, so that is nothing but internationalization. Because once we stored all of our applications hard-coded text or the translation text in one place, so it would be easy for any developers going forward that he can easily manipulate that text so that it will affect in each and every place wherever we have used that text. So why we use this IT? Just for translation purpose. Okay, let's consider that you're building an app which should be run in a different languages, right? It should display depending on the country or the region where the customer or the client is using. So according to that, let's consider I'm building one app which generally the client is expecting that it needs to be developed in the two parts. Sorry guys for that. Sorry for the disturbance. Yeah. So what I want to say that, so let's consider you want to build a app, okay, which has two languages. Means you want to develop that app in a two languages. One is in French and another one is in normal English. Okay. So by default, English is a basic that each and every browser will support. So you don't have to do anything in that case. Okay. So we have one folder i18 here inside the web app. Okay. So now let's consider by default, you will be having only one file in this i18. That is nothing but i18n.properties. So this file, we generally call it as a resource bundle file. Okay. So whatever the files we will add it right inside the i18. So those files would be called as a resource bundle files. So inside this resource bundle files only, we will be adding all our application's hard-coded text or the text which is going to be translated. Okay. Now let's consider you have to develop this app in two languages, two different languages. One is the English and another one is the French. So for French, what I have done, I have created a separate resource bundle file. Can you see this? So the naming convention of the file, it should start with i18n underscore fr. Okay, fr means it is a language acronym for the French. Dot properties. Okay, so this is the name of the file, and this is what the naming convention we have to follow in case of resource bundle. Okay, so now let's consider I have created this separate file for the French. So what I've done, the values are only changing in this case. Okay, your key will remain same. Your key will be remain same, or it will be consistent across each and every app. Means, for example, let's consider you have to build this app in different languages. That languages are more than 5 or 6. So let's consider you have the 6 different resource bundle file here. So in each and every file, the keys will remain the same. Okay, the keys will remain consistent across all the resource bundle files. Only the values, right? Only the values will be changed. So what will happen? How this UI5 app will consider? So let's consider I want to run this app and the default language of my browser is French. So automatically the French, this resource bundle file will be picked on runtime. Okay, this you don't have to add any configuration for this. It's by default added. Okay, so far it's clear.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I know if see guys, if you are not able to understand, you need to go through the earlier video. You have to check that previous video, then only I would say, because at least we have covered 1 hour session in previous. Hi Manish.
Hello, hi, Abhi. Good morning.
Good morning. You joined late.
Yeah, actually, sorry, due to some work, actually.
Okay, okay. No issues. Okay. So so these keys will remain same across all the resource bundle files. Only the value will be changing. Okay. This value we have to add it depending on the language. Means let's consider this product. Okay. In English we call it as a product, but in French what we call it as. So I just copied that. I just opened the Google translation, and from that I've added the English to French, and from that whatever we call the product in French, that value I have just copied and I've added it for this product. Okay, same like that I've added for each and every key. Okay, so now one more thing is that when it comes to the resource bundle file, right, the structure is flat structure. Okay, the structure is flat. Flat structure means when it comes to the object, you have to create opening and closing curly brackets, and inside that you need to define keys with the values, right? And let's consider I want to add one more property inside that object. So the after the first property, after the value, I need to add comma, okay? And then I need to provide the second property. But it's not the same case with the resource bundle file, okay? The structure, whatever you can see here, right? It's completely a flat structure here. Okay, so now let's consider you want to bring this data. So see, uh, see for JSON data, we have JSON model. Okay, but for resource model, right? For resource bundle, if you want this data to be stored, so for that SAP has developed resource bundle, resource model. They have developed the resource model. Okay, just to work with this kind of data. Okay, so that's why what we are doing, we are using resource model, okay, which will store resource bundle files or resource bundle files information. It will store it inside the resource model. And then from that resource model, you will bind that information to the controls. Okay, this is the process. So generally this i18, this mechanism is divided in 3 parts. First one is your resource bundle, which is nothing but your properties file, which will have all of your translated text, okay, of your application. Second is the resource model, which will store this information inside the resource model. Okay, it will bring this resource bundle information into resource model. And the last one is the controls which will actually consume this data, this information, and which will be displayed on the front end. Okay, fine. Okay, so from earlier session, we have just added, we have done the basic binding of this i18 from the view side. Okay, the data binding, everything is remain same. The syntax is everything remains same, but only thing is that you only have a greater than sign. You don't use slash here. Why? Because why we use slash? Let's consider you want to go one step inside the object. Okay, if you want to go one step inside the object, we have to use slash. So slash will help you to direct into that project or into that object. Okay, let just like a path. But in when it comes to the resource bundle, right, or resource model binding, so we don't have to provide a slash, because if you look at the structure, there is no object. Okay, you can directly access the information. So that's why we are not using any slash and all, or no array. Okay, the index number also we are not providing in this case. Okay, directly use this model name greater than sign and the property name or the key name. Okay. 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 So far, this is how the data binding is done for the resource model, and how the translation is done. So let's consider we have already created a two resource bundle files. Okay, one is the French resource bundle file and another one is the English, which is a by default. Okay, so this is a default resource bundle file. So what will happen when you run this app, when you run this standalone app on the browser? So first of all, it will check for the default language of the browser. If the default language of browser is German or some Chinese, okay, and then let's consider those resource bundle file, the Chinese related or the German related resource bundle file, if it is not available inside the IIT. So what will happen? It will directly consider the default file, which is nothing but i18n.properties file. But let's consider if the German file is available, if that German resource bundle file is available, so it will consider that German resource bundle file. Okay, you got it right, guys?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now what I will do, I'll just maybe some couple of candidates were not there. So I'll do one thing. I'll just show you how the translation is done. Okay. So now let's consider I have already created the French file and one is the default file. Okay. And default language of my browser is, let me go to the settings. I will search for language. Okay. So the default language as of now is English. Okay. In my browser. But let's consider I want to make French as a default language. Okay, before I make, first of all, let me run this app. Okay, so now this is the default language, or this text I have already binded. Okay, if you look at the view file, right? So if you look at the view file, I've already done the binding. So that header information, this header information, can you see this header information on the table? So this information, it is coming from the resource bundle file. Okay, because we have added all those keys, product, supplier, dimension. Okay, and so whatever the keys we have added, right, we have binded. So it's bringing the values of those keys, okay, onto the screen. So this is the values which is coming from the resource bundle file. So now let's consider I want to make French as a default language. So I'll just click on the three dots. I'll move it to top. Okay. So now as soon as I move it to top, now the default language of my browser is French. Okay. And now if I reload, I should see the French. I should see the app in the French language. Okay. Let's see that now. Okay. Can you see now? See how the product got converted? See? So this is how it will work. Okay, so you just need to set the default language of your browser. It is why we are doing, because it is a standalone browser. Okay, it is a standalone app. But let's consider you want to deploy this app on Fury Launchpad. So before you log in Fury Launchpad, for sure you guys have seen there is a default language, right? There is an option from a drop down where you can choose the default language, right? So once you choose that option, based on that, automatically the tiles and all, if it is already maintained, that would be converted into the language which you have chosen from that drop down. If not, so by default, it will consider i18 only. So why we need to store all of our hardcoded text in one central place? Because let's consider you want to use this product name in 5 or 10 places. So what will happen in each and every place? You need to write this code, right? You will write product, product, product everywhere. But instead of writing that product for 5 times, you can declare it once here. Okay, because if in future, if the client is saying instead of product, can you add it as products? Can you add one more S after the products? So what will happen? You need to change that products in 5 places. But if you are maintaining that product, right, that details inside the resource bundle, only you have to change here. So once you change, automatically the data will be reflected in all the places. Okay. So that's how you can make your life easy. If you are maintaining all of your applications hard-coded text in a single page or in central location. Okay. So far it's clear, guys.
But we didn't create any resource model for that i18n underscore refer.
Yes. See that resource model, you don't have to explicitly create. As soon as you create the project, right? So resource model is already created. Okay, I'll show you. Can you see this i18n? Okay, you can just go to the manifest.json file and in that you will see one model. Okay, so see in Bash, as soon as you create the project, right? So this model is already created and this model, it is of type resource model. Okay, and it just provided means in this we have a setting object in which we provide the bundle name. So this is your resource bundle file name. Okay, so in this bundle name, we have to provide the path of the i18 file. Okay, so nothing. Okay, so now you will ask me the next question. So how this translation is done? So this is the API which is being taken care. You don't have to worry at all on this. Okay, so that path and all everything it will manage. Which file need to pick on runtime? It will just identify and it will pick that file. So this resource model is already created inside the manifest. So as we know, if any model is getting initialized inside the manifest, so that model is nothing but it is a global model. It's not a local model, which is specific to the view. Okay, so this model is there and it's already provided. Fine now, Pinaki?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so
So
let's.
this particular model refers to the i18n default bundle, but the
Yes.
newly but we didn't create any model name for the newly created i18 file.
No, we don't have to create a new model for i18.
Automatically the API will take care of it.
Yes. You don't have to
Okay,
create a new model. Okay. See, like
okay.
JSON model, let's consider for JSON, right? For sure, you will receive the data from different resources, right? From SAP system, you can get the information. From success factor also, you can get the information. So let's consider if you're getting the information from couple of places, so you can create a different models for that. But for i18, see, it's already available on your project, right? It's already available on your respective resource, this properties file, this information. So you don't have to create. So one model is enough. So that's why we don't need to create a separate model for i18. Okay. So using this single model only, you can access the text. But one more thing which I want to tell you that resource model is only resource model. It only supports one-time binding mode. Okay, one time means only once. Means one time means as soon as you load the app, a resource model will be created and this resource model, it will be updated with the resource bundle information. That also only once. I mean, let's consider depending on the need, if you want to update resource model, that won't will work. Okay, that won't work. First of all, like JSON model, how you can do, you can also you have an option, okay? Because the JSON model, it's very flexible. It provides a lot of option. You can update the data, you can remove the data from the JSON model, or you can also delete the data. Everything you can do inside the JSON model. But when it comes to the resource model, right, you can't update the information. You cannot modify the information inside the resource model because it only supports one-time binding mode. Okay, you got it now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so resource model only supports one-time binding mode, which means if you are binding this information to input field, and if you're thinking that it will this resource model, it will bring the information whatever user has entered from the front end, that won't happen. It only happens in case of JSON model because JSON model supports two-way binding mode. Okay. Okay, so now let's go back to the controller. Now let's see how we can access. Now in the view, see when it comes to the view, you can directly do the data binding. i18n greater than sign products, right? So this is the way when you want to access the information from the view level. Okay, from view perspective, we have to follow the standard binding syntax. But when it comes to the controller, right? When it comes to the controller, so the steps are different. Okay, the syntax is little bit different. It's not that what we are following in case of JSON model. When it comes to the JSON model, whatever syntax you are following, right? Like this for any text and all. So same syntax also you are following in controller, right? If you look at this input field, I have done the binding in this way. So this will work when it comes to the JSON model. But when it comes to the resource model, okay, the steps are a little bit different. The syntax is a little bit different. I'll show you. So how we need to write? So first of all, we need to get the instance of resource model. Same like JSON model. If you want to get the JSON model, what is the syntax for that? Anyone can comment?
We take a variable, then new operator,
No, no,
then
no. See, the JSON model is already created. Now
acha,
you
acha.
want to access the JSON model again. So first of all, how you will, what is the syntax to get the model?
What?
Any idea? See, I've covered this so many times. Okay.
That slash you have like product details
Yes,
you showed, right?
this I've
Slash.
already done, right?
Yes, yes. And means there are
Okay.
two
So,
types. Like,
yeah. See, whenever you want to get the model, it's your choice whether that model is declared on view level or on the component level. Means if you are declaring a model inside the manifest, so that model by default it is a component level model. That model is considered to be a component level. But if you're initializing this model on the view level, so we don't have to use get owner component in that case. You can directly write get view. So based on that, so let's consider. So I want to access the resource model. So I know that resource model is already initialized inside manifest.json file, right? So that resource model is declared inside the manifest.json file. So that model is nothing but it is a component level model. So if I want to access that model, I will write resource model. Then I will write this dot get owner component dot get model. Okay. Now what is the name of the model? Name of the model is i18n. Okay. So name of the model is i18n. So now after that, once you have the instance of i18 model, right? Once you have the instance of resource model, so from that, now how you will access the information of resource bundle. So if you want to get the information from the resource bundle, because resource bundle, it is a file inside which we have the data in key value pairs, right? We have the data in key value pairs, which is separated by the equal to sign. So now if you want to access that information, So how you will access that? So we have one method for resource model. Okay, let me open this API reference, search for resource model. Okay, so for getting the information from the resource bundle, we have one method, get resource bundle. Okay, so we have to use this method, get resource bundle. So you need to write get resource model dot get resource bundle. Okay, after that dot get text. Let's consider I want to get the text uh, from any resource bundle file. Okay, that's not a problem. Let's consider you want to get the text from the product. So I just want to access the value of the property product. I'll go back and I'll just provide it. Okay. Now let's do one thing. I will just put a breakpoint here. Okay, 1 second. I think looks like there's a problem. Yeah, it's loading now. So guys, recording is already started, right? Yeah. Okay, 1 second. I think it's taking, it will take a couple of seconds. Yeah, it's loaded now. Okay, so if you want to get the resource model, so this is the syntax for getting the resource model. So it will just return the constructor, and that constructor instance is our resource model or resource model. Okay, and then from that, you need to call the method get resource bundle. Okay, so as soon as you call get resource bundle, so you will have some property files like this. Can you see now here? If you look at, we have two files, right? One is the default file and another one is the French resource bundle file, right? So we have the two different files here. So now let's see, the default language of my browser is English as of now, right? So if I'm going to get the text of the property product, so which text it will return, whether it will return the value of the French or whether it will return the value of English. So what it is going to return, let's see that now. Okay, so get text, we need to call a method get text, and inside the get text, you need to pass the property name. Okay, and what is the property name? Product, right? So yeah, this is our property name. So guys, property name will remain consistent across all the resource bundle files. So now which text it is returning? It is returning the French text. Why? Because we have kept the default language of browser as French, right? So this also it is handled on runtime dynamically. Okay, because see the default language of browser is English. So if that file is already available, so if you are going to get the text of the product key, so it will directly bring that value from the French, not from the default English resource bundle file. Okay, so is this clear, guys? Any questions in this for getting the text? Okay, very simple. The syntax is very simple. First of all, you need to write the syntax, this dot get owner component dot get model, and inside that pass the model name, store that in one variable. Okay. Okay, after that from O bundle, call method get resource bundle. Okay, and from that write dot get text. Inside the get text, you need to provide, you have to provide the key name. In this case, which is the product. so this is the process. So now, as soon as you get the text, right? So that text, you can store it in one variable, or you can directly write like this. Let's consider, okay, let's say that I have one text control here. Okay, I'm declaring one text. Var Okay, so this is my text. So o text is nothing but it is an instance of the constructor text. So now I want to set this text. So I will store that in variable. Okay, and after that, I will write o text dot set text method, and inside that I will pass as product. Right. So this is the process. Okay, when it comes to the controller part, right, for the resource model, first of all, you need to access the i18 model, store that in one variable, and then from that variable you can access get resource bundle. So get resource bundle, this method will help you to return the information of resource bundle file. And after that, you can call the method get text, and inside the get text, you can pass the key of the property. Okay, fine. Guys, is it clear now?
Avik,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I thought I missed some part, but still, let me ask you a question. I just want to understand why we are fetching from i18 this product and then setting it up. As I understand in the last class that this API will take care in the conversion part.
Mm-hmm.
They will automatically convert this product into the browser language, whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
French or English. So here, means I want to understand the concept why what we are trying to achieve, like this, because we are just
No, no.
setting the value.
Why we are actually a voice?
Sorry.
Voice is not clear at the end.
Okay. I mean to say that means I want to understand the purpose of this, like of setting the value of this product, which is there in the i18, the product some value which is there.
Okay,
Because
okay,
I yeah,
okay.
that I
I'll tell
want to understand.
the use case. Okay, so let's consider that you already stored this text in the resource bundle file. Sorry, in resource bundle file, right? So now it's not about only setting the text, it's also about displaying the messages. Okay, so let's consider in my application that my application is of transactional type. Transactional means the app in which you can perform a couple of transactions, a business operation like create, update, delete, and or update anything like that. So if you want to create a new record, so as soon as you create a new record, you want to display that message. So that message, instead of hard coding here in the controller, you have stored that hard coded text inside the i18 file, a resource bundle file. Okay, as soon as you store that inside the resource bundle file, so now you want to access that information. How you will access that?
Okay, now I'm
Now
clear.
you got it, right?
Yeah. Now I got it because I thought the column field is automatically getting converted, but it is for the messages. Yes.
Yes, for messages
Yes.
also very important. Means see, maximum 80% you will write it inside the view only. For view level, right? For sure you will design your page from the view.xml file. So that normal the standard data binding you can use, and your it will automatically fetch that information from resource bundle file. But when it comes to the controller, when it comes to the controller, right? So from controller, for sure 20 means 90% you will use this controller for displaying messages. Okay, for displaying messages or some dynamic message you want to display. So there is a one concept of dynamic here, so that we will see that in few minutes. Okay, but at
Uh,
least got it. What is the purpose of controller now here?
yes, Avik, it is clear now. One more question. Now actually, when you talk about the messages, so there is
Mm-hmm.
one thing in the app we handle, like something like error message, success message, information message, and whenever there is an error, then it should not proceed ahead. So similarly, kind of thing is also there in the Fury. for error
Yes, yes.
success above.
Yeah, it is there already. We already
Okay,
have controls here. You can explore message box control.
okay.
Okay, so in message box, there are different types like confirm, alert, error, info, warning, and success. See,
Okay.
let's say if it is alert, if it is confirm, if it is error. Okay, so you can use the message box in this case. So
Uh,
let's consider you want to display this message. Okay, so now yeah. So for this example, one thing now we will see now. So before that, before I proceed with this topic, so any questions you have, guys? Whatever we have covered so far. Any questions you have, or any doubts or questions you want to ask?
from my side, no.
Okay, fine. Okay, so now the requirement is if you look at this message, right? In this pop-up box, if you look at the message, we have approve purchase order and there is a number for the order, right? So now let's consider we are using resource bundle file for storing hard-coded text, right? We are using resource bundle file for storing hard-coded text. Now, I cannot store this hard-coded text. I cannot store the purchase order number hard-coded, right? Because the purchase order number, it can be dynamic. Because let's consider you have 100 purchase orders. So for 100 orders, you have a different number. So you cannot hard-coded all the 100 numbers inside the resource bundle file. So how to fix this issue then in this resource model? So while getting text, you will think that, yeah, we can get the text approve purchase order like this, right? This much text, you can store it inside the resource model. And after that, you can do the concatenation and you can display the rest. You can get the value, the purchase order value dynamically, right? This is what you will do, right, guys?
Yes, yes.
With the help of concatenation, you will follow this. Means in this case, how many lines of code you need to write? You need to first get the resource bundle, then you need to get the purchase order number, and again after that, at the end, again you need to add a question mark. Okay, so this is what you need to do in case of the normal controller file, right? If you want to do the concatenation, so you will do that with the help of JavaScript. But let's say if this solution, this can be achievable with the help of resource bundle file. It is achievable with the help of resource model. Okay, so now there is a concept of parameters inside the resource model. There is a concept of parameters inside the resource model or inside the IT. So parameters means, so now in this case, if you look at this example, the purchase order number is dynamic. Okay, because it can be any number that we are not sure. So if you want to fill this purchase order number dynamically based on the user click. So what you need to do, so there is a concept of parameters. So how you need to define that? So I will just go back. Okay, I will just go back to the resource bundle file and now I will show you what I need to do here. Okay, so I am declaring one more property here. I'm declaring one more property like okay, see, we can just copy this message here and I will paste it here. Okay, so now what I will do here, so I will directly use opening and closing curly brackets and inside that I will pass 0. Okay, so now this is nothing but it is a parameter that you are passing. Okay, so whatever values you will pass, right? So that values for sure it will have some index number. So that index position I'm just passing here. Okay, so now this is done from the resource model perspective. Okay, so this is done from the resource model perspective. One second, let me change the default language of browser. Okay, so now I want to display this. So I am just adding one more button here. So as soon as I click on button, right? So I will just pass a dynamic purchase order number. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, so we already have a message box on the top. Yeah. So now what I will do, I will declare one variable which will have a purchase order number. Okay, let's consider. Okay, so this is your purchase order number. Now you want to pass this information dynamically on runtime to the message box. So before I open the message box, I will declare one, I will get the resource bundle information. Write this dot get owner component dot get model, and inside that I will pass i18n. Okay. Then now I will write message box dot success, and inside that I will write o resource model dot get text. Now I want to get the text from the property MSG success. Okay, and now how I can pass this information? So if you want to pass this information, right? So after the success, give one comma and then declare the structure in the array. Okay, because we have provided the index number. Okay, so this index number. So from 0 index, I'm just storing this value as number. That's it. Okay, so this is the process. So now let me do one thing. Let me reload this up. Okay, so now once I click on the display message, looks like we have an issue. It's not a function. Okay. So what I've missed here? Any idea? Right? So before getting the resource bundle, how you can. Okay, so before getting, if you don't have the resource bundle information, how you can get the text? So before you get the text, you need a resource bundle information. Okay, so this was missing. So now it should work without any problem.
Don't you think so that resource bundle should come before get model?
Yeah, 1 second. Okay, can you see now here? Approve purchase order, the number which we have provided. Automatically it is sitting before the question mark because we have provided the parameters here. Okay, so let me put a breakpoint here. Okay, so now I created one variable which has S number. Inside that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And after that I'm getting the resource bundle. So if you look at this variable right now, so you will have the information of resource bundle. So in this we have one file, a property files. So it's taking only default file as of now. Can you see now? This is what you're requesting, Manish.
Yes, yes. Miss, I just want to know that Okay, in this order we have to define a get resource bundle.
Yes, get resource bundle we need to define. Yeah. After that only you can call get text method. Otherwise it won't work. Okay. So from as soon as you have the resource model, right? A resource bundle information, then if you write get text inside the get text, if I pass, okay, this is the text now. But now if you want to pass the dynamic information into this parameter, you want to pass the information which should automatically sit in this parameter. Okay, then we have to provide that in array structure. Okay, so if I go to the API reference, okay, so there is the method get resource bundle. Resource bundle. Okay, from resource bundle you have the get text. Okay, can you see now? So get text, it generally takes three parameters. One is the key, second one is the args. Args means you are going to pass the arguments. Okay, that also in the array format. Okay, and then it is optional. And the last one is the callback function. So you can use this callback function. Let's consider that key is missing. If that key is not available inside the resource bundle file, so you can this callback function, it will help you to display the error message. Okay, on the front end screen. Okay, so far it's clear. The key, second is the arguments, you will pass it in the array format. Any questions in this? Okay, so that's why in second parameter in the array format I have passed. But let's consider that the dynamic information is you want to display 2, 3 information dynamically. Okay, rather than one.
So we will have one, two, three, like that.
Okay. So this is the syntax how we need to follow. So this index number, right? So it will keep increasing. And then same syntax, for example, on the 0 index, you need to provide the file name. So you cannot write at 0 position, you will provide the app name. Okay, because whatever index number you are providing, right? In the same sequence, you need to provide those values inside the array. Okay, that is very important. So let's consider I want to display this message error. I want to display this message error. So what I will do, I'll go back to the controller. Okay, I'm just commenting out this second message box and I'm going to write message box dot error. Okay, then I will write sync resource model dot get text, and inside that I will provide msg error. After that give comma, and then in array the first value. Let's say I'm providing the file passport. Okay, let's consider this is my first value, and from the app, uh, from the okay, so this is also in the string value. Fine now. So this information which I need to display on runtime. So now let me reload this. MSG error passport document upload. Can you see now? The file passport is missing from the app document upload. Okay. So automatically the information, right? Automatically the information which we have passed on runtime. So that automatically that will be updated in this URL within the within this text. Okay. So guys, is it clear now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is, yeah, fine. Now let's do one thing. Now let's say you want to achieve same from the view. Okay. So from the view is you don't want to display means atom. I'm just creating one variable text. Okay, here, and in that I'm going to provide that information. Okay, so if I do the normal i18, 18n greater than sign and the success, that message error. So what will happen now in this case? How it will be displayed? Can you see now here? The file 0 is missing from the app 1. Okay, so now what needs to be done in this case? How to format this now? Okay, this text, how I need to format? Then I can display the values inside the 0 and the 1 position. Any idea?
Oh, sorry, I didn't got a question. You're going to say that.
No,
How?
from controller, we can pass this in the array structure, right? So from controller, this is what the syntax we followed, right? You provided
Yes.
this information and then automatically it is reflecting. Automatically this passport and document upload, it got reflected inside the respective index number. Now same thing if you want to do it with inside the view.xml file. So as we know that you can use the standard binding syntax.
Yes.
Now how you can pass those dynamic information that I'm asking.
Okay, so in 0 and 1, what values we have to pass, like, uh,
I
In
think there
zero,
must be some method we can set those 0 and 1 in controller.
mm, no, what needs to be done now? Okay, generally we need to do the binding only. Means let's consider that you need to store that information in model in some model, and from that you need to provide that path. Then it will work. It you cannot directly pass the hard-coded information like what we have done inside the controller. Right? In controller, you can directly store that value and you can provide that. But now when it comes to the XML, right? When it comes to the XML, the syntax is little bit different. Okay, the syntax is little bit different. So let's do one thing. So first of all, you need to use parts. Okay, parts is the standard property. And then inside the parts, you will have multiple paths. Okay, let's consider you want to provide a multiple means you want to do the binding for the multiple properties. So we have to use parts in that case. Okay, and within that parts, you will declare one array, and inside that whatever path you are providing, right? So this needs to be assigned in a path property. Path colon in single quotes. This is the way. Okay. And each path will assign it inside the object. Again, let's consider you want to provide a second information now. Okay, this time I'm just going to do a normal data binding. Okay, means let's say I want to provide a zeroth value of product name. Okay, in this case, let's consider that. Okay, I'm just copying this. Okay, path colon remove this. Okay, and again the third one is instead of name I will provide supplier name. Okay, now let me see the output for a second. Okay, can you see now? File 0 is missing from the app 1, but after that I can see notebook basic 15 and the description, the supplier name actually. Okay, so now the thing is it's not getting formatted. Actually, this text it should be set inside the 0 index, and very best this one, right? The best screen it should sit inside the first index number, but it is not happening. So now if you want to format this text properly, so there is one API or there is one library that we need to call here. Okay, so that part that topic or that thing is the formatter. Okay, so we have to use formatter whenever you want to format a message. And in what formatter will do, it will help a user to properly, it will help the user to understand the message properly. Okay, just for formatting purpose. So now how you will format this message? So now we have to use formatter. Okay, let me go to the formatter. Okay, after the array, you have to add comma and then add a property formatter, give colon, and then in single quotes, you can write jQuery dot SAP dot format message. That's it. Can you see now? Okay.
I
So
want to
guys,
understand about that
yeah,
formatter actually.
yes,
Means
from the view
so
level.
so
Mhm.
I just want
Yeah,
to know that this is a library, right? And this library is defining that this value should be placed in that zero, and this all
right.
definition is stored over there. That's what you
Yes,
mean, right?
yes.
And how you come to know that this is the thing we have to use?
Yeah, because see, in UI5 there is a concept of formatter. Okay, so formatter we generally use for formatting purpose, for formatting of the text, which is coming from the backend. Let's consider from the OData service, you are getting only X as a value. So, but from the front end, you don't want to display X. Instead of that, you want to display true or false, right? Instead of that, or you also want to display a message. If you're getting X, the message is different. If you're getting null, if you're that message would be different. So how you will identify that? So in order to display your custom message or in order to display or format the text, so we have one library formatter. Okay, so we have a library formatter here. Okay, so we'll see this formatter more in detail. Yeah, so at least so far the syntax is clear now. If you want to pass a multiple paths, so we have to use paths. And inside that within an array, you have to use path. And that path also it should be inside an object, opening and closing brackets. Then second, again you want to display a second path. Again, give opening and closing curly brackets, path, and then in single quotes, you provide the path. Same like that we have provided, and after the array, give comma, and then use formatter, colon, jQuery.sap.format message. Okay. So yeah, not sure whether this jQuery will, this jQuery, because it is deprecated as of now. It is deprecated. We see whether we have any error or not here. Okay, yeah. Still we can use, guys. See, I'll just go to the API reference. I'll search for format message. Okay, can you see now? See, we have a different library. Now we have a different library format message. It is available since 1.58. And the one which I'm using, right? Okay, 1 second. Uh, 1 second.
So we can use format message also instead of formatter, right?
Yeah, you can also use that format message. The jQuery one, it is now deprecated, but 1 second. That's only, I'm just trying to check. Okay, let me go back to the version 1.52 or 1.40, something like that. Okay. So now if I search for jQuery.sap, it is too confusing, right? Okay, can you see now here? Okay, jQuery.sap.format message. In that you need to pass the pattern and the values. Okay, so same what you can do, guys, instead of that, right? You can directly, we can use this format message. Yeah, this one also you can use. Okay, sap.base.format message. Okay, fine now. Okay, why it is not working?
In this format message, we can directly pass the value and the placeholder.
Sorry, what? What, Manish?
Oh, sorry, I'm actually I thought that the way they have mentioned format message and the bracket, small bracket, and then they're passing this say like 0,
Yeah,
and then they are
this will work in controller actually. I'm just checking with the XML part.
XML file.
Yeah, I thought of using this library as it is. I'm not sure. Okay, let me check this, guys. Okay, let me check this and I'll get back to you on this. Okay, but
Actually,
so
I
far
want to.
the
Yeah,
The earlier one which we have used, right? Still you can use that. That's not a problem. Okay. jQuery.sap.format message. Or I'll do one thing. 1 second. Wait. Okay, I'm just pinging this syntax in sorry, in chat. You can just copy this syntax and keep it handy with you. Okay, this one I will check once why it is not working. Might be syntax might be different for this. Okay, fine now, guys. So far it's clear. The dynamic handling of text of resource model and i18. Any questions in this?
yes, Avik, it is clear. But that formatter part, I want to understand more. Means it can whenever we are doing this dynamic functionality, that time only we the formatter comes into picture, or we
No,
can
no,
use
yeah,
for purpose.
yes. We have one formatter concept, so that we need to cover now more in detail. Okay. We have that. We can start with that topic maybe after 10 minutes. Okay. So we'll take a 10 minutes break. And after that, we can start with the formatter and expression binding. But before we start with the formatter, so any queries you have in this resource model i18? Any questions or not?
No, no.
No,
No, right? Okay, fine. Okay, so maybe yeah, let's connect at 11:30 exactly. So just be in call and be on mute. Okay. Yeah. Guys, are you back?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
I took good nap, a small nap, okay?
Yeah,
And
okay,
I
no
took,
problem.
I thought that, oh, it's more than 1 hour I took. So I just checked the time that it's hardly 10 minutes.
Sometimes it feels like that.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so guys, now we can start with the formatter. And so formatter, yes, it will take half an hour and we can see the expression binding. So these are small topics. Formatter, it's little bit big, but expression binding is a small topic. It won't take more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Main motivation behind today's session is that we need to start with routing and navigation. That's a bigger topic, actually. It will take at least 5 hours, 5 to 6 hours to complete. Okay, yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Guys, is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's start with the formatter. So guys, in Vue, we have added one formatter, right? A formatter property, and after that, we provided the formatter API. Okay, so this format message, it will help us to format the text which we want to. So same like that, instead of text, let's consider that you want to pass a function. Okay, so instead of formatter, this is the standard formatter. It is one kind of a standard formatter which we have passed so far. But now we are going to see the custom formatters. Okay, the formatter which we need it according to our need. Okay, that kind of formatter if you want to need. So what you can do? So what you can do in this case? So we have a formatter concept, custom formatter concepts. So what is this formatter? As the name suggests, so this formatter is used just to format the messages. Okay, on the front end. So whatever the data is presented on the UI, okay, whatever the data is presented on the UI, you are just converting that data according to your need. Means from the backend, if you are getting what I said that earlier, that if you are getting a value as X from the backend, but what customer is saying, we don't have to display a value X on the front end. If you're getting the value X, you display some other value from the front end. Okay, because as it is a client side, so this formatter you're totally doing it from the client side, not from the server side. Okay, so on client side only this formatting of messages will be done. So it's purely client side, not from the server side. So the requirement is very simple. Okay, we'll do one thing. Hmm, we'll try to achieve with the couple of properties. Okay, let me comment out this. 1 second. Let me comment out this also. Yeah. So now if you see, we have only this, how many 6 columns are there? Okay, fine. Now let's say you want to format a message. Okay, means what I need to do. Formatter, where we can use this formatter. Okay, so the first formatter, we will add it for the date. Okay, I'm just adding one more column for the date. So as we already have a local JSON file, right? So 1 second, 18. Okay. Okay. So let's consider we have a date of sale here. Okay. So this date of sale, if you look at the syntax or if you look at the format of the date, first it is displaying year, after that month, and then there is a date, right? So instead of this, let's consider you want to format in a different way. Okay, you want to format this in a different way. Like you want to display first date, after that month, and then after that year. Okay, and instead of hyphen, you need slash. Okay, so how to format this date and all? So I'm going to use a formatter here now. Okay, just to format this message. So for formatting purpose, what I will do, whenever you want to work with the formatter, right, a custom formatters. So good practice is always create a separate folder or separate file for the formatted.js file. Okay, so whenever you want to work with the formatter, right, whenever you want to add a custom formatter, so the best practice is create a separate formatter file. Create a separate file for the formatter. Okay, and the extension of that file will be .js. Okay, so now let's consider I'm going to create one file. So I'll create a new folder here, formatter. Okay, press OK. And now this formatter folder is created, and inside that I'm creating a file, formatter.js file. Okay, so now after creating the formatter.js file, so the next step is where is the formatter.js? Okay, I created in wrong folder. Let me delete this. Okay, so I created this formatter.js file. So now in this JS file, you want to add a function, which will, what it will do, that function will be triggered automatically from the view, from the front end. And then whatever the values we have passed, right, to that formatter, so that values will be formatted on runtime. And it will return that formatted value in response. Okay. So first of all, this, yes. Okay. Okay, the syntax of the formatter is now you want to define a function inside the formatter.js file. So before I call a formatter.js file, so first of all I need to declare a definition. Okay, the definition is similar to the controller.js file. Okay, so any JS file which we will declare in this application. So the syntax or the structure of that file is it's similar to the controller.js file. Okay, so on the top you will load you will load your modules or your libraries, and then inside that you will extend, and after that you will add your functions or methods. So same like that, same structure it is being followed inside the format.js file. Okay, so what I need to do, you just go to the login page. I'm just copying this entire structure. Okay, copy that, go back to the format.js file and paste it here. Okay, so now the only difference here is, so this function will remain the same as it is. Okay, so only this controller.extend is there, right? So in this case we are not going to extend with any controller. So now I'm just going to delete this. Okay, and instead of that I'm just going to use opening and closing curly brackets and give semicolon. That's it. Only this is the change we have to do. If you are copying the entire controller file and you're pasting inside the formatted.js file. Okay, so just keep this module empty, and after that you don't need anything here inside the function. You keep this use strict as it is, and then there is a return keyword. Okay, now inside the return keyword we have this object. Okay, so now here we will declare one property which is of method, right? Because object, for sure object will have methods properties. So this method only we are going to declare it, or you can also call it as a function. Okay, so now I'm going to create one function which will format that date. Okay, so now I'm going to write Okay, so format date of sale colon function, and now this function will receive values. Okay, the function will receive a values on runtime. So that values will be date. Okay. So now inside this, I'm going to declare one variable. So how to format this? For formatting, so there are two cases. You can manually you can write your JavaScript code and you can format, or there is a standard library which you can use it. Okay, that library is date. One second, that library is okay. So this is the library which we have sap.ua.code.format.date format. Okay. So this is the library which we can use for formatting purpose. Whenever you want to work with the dates, right? Generally, if you want to format a date, if you want to format a date according to the time zone, okay, everything can be achieved with the help of this date format library or this class. Okay. So now what I need to do, first of all, I need to load this library into the formatter.js file. Okay. So I'm going to load this inside the formatter.js file on the top. Okay. After that, provide this date format inside this method. Okay. So now what you need to write, you need to create date format. Okay. Inside the date format, if you see, there is no constructor for the date format. Okay. So now I'm going to call a method get datetime instance or get datetime. So okay, I'm going to call a method get date instance. Okay, so there are a couple of methods which you can call like get date instance, get datetime instance, get time instance. Okay, so now as we have only date, so I'm just going to call this method get datetime instance. Okay, so the date time. So inside this get datetime instance, we need to pass a format options. And after that, there is a local A. So in this format option, which is nothing but it is of object format, in which you can pass the format or you can pass the pattern, style, relative and relative range. Everything you can pass, but mostly in this, what we will use, right? We will use the pattern. Okay, we will use the pattern here in this case. So I'm going to call get datetime instance here. So first I will write here. Uh, get format dot get date time, get date instance, and in that, in the object, I will pass a pattern. And now inside the pattern, I can tell that, see, there are a couple of patterns. For sure, you guys have known this. YY, DD, MM. So all this pattern, you know. So there are a couple of patterns which are available. Okay, guys. Okay, let's consider I want to provide like this DD slash MM slash YYY. Okay, so this is the pattern in which I want to format a date as of now. After that, I will write here return. Return, I will write odate format dot format. So we have one format method here. Okay, so this format method we need to call, and inside this format, you need to pass a date. Okay, so I'm going to write new date, and inside that I will pass date. Okay, that's it. Now this formatter file is completed. The next thing is you need to provide this, you need to call this formatter inside the controller. So I'll just copy this path. Instead of controller, we need formatter. Formatters. Now again inside the formatter give slash and then write formatter file name. Okay, then provide this formatter. Sorry. Okay, now this formatter. Now inside the controller, right? You need to define this formatter in one property. So I'm keeping that formatter property same as the file name. Okay. So this property, it will help you wherever you want to call the formatter, right? So this property will help you. Means this property, using this property, you can call the formatter wherever you want. You can also call this formatter inside the control code if you want to. Okay, I'm just passing this formatter information into this variable. So now let's say if I want to use that in the view.xml file, so I have to use this formatter name. Okay, I'm just keeping this formatter name similar so that going forward there won't be any confusion actually. Keep this formatter name or this key similar to the value that you are passing. Okay, copy that. Go back to the view. Okay, so now I'm going to add one more column here for date of sale. Okay, I'm directly providing a value here. Date of sale, and I'm going to add at the last. So here I will write, here I will bind a date of sale property. Okay, so now I need to provide a formatter, then I will use a path, comma, standard formatter keyword, then give colon, again in single quotes, dot formatter dot method name. What is the method name? Format date of sale. Okay, that is the method name. So dot formatter dot format date of sale. Okay, this is the syntax to call a formatter. Now let's go back and let's see the output once. Can you see now date of sale? Okay, earlier how it was coming. So if you look at the date of sale, it was coming like this. But now as we have called that formatter on runtime for this particular record. So inside this, so this formatted method, it will be called for each and every row line dynamically. Okay, so that formatter function, it will be called for each and every each and every row. And then this the current value, the value of the current record will be passed, and it will manipulate that record, and in return it will return this format. Okay, so let me put a breakpoint and I'll show you what we have done. Okay, so if you want to debug, so you will see the formatter folder, and inside that you will see a formatter file here. Just put a breakpoint on this line number, 11th line number. Now, as soon as I reload, you will see a breakpoint automatically. It will come inside that formatter. Okay, can you see now? So it's getting called. Now it will be called for the first record. So what is the first record? Can you see? The first record which we are getting is this one, 2017-03-26. Okay, 2017-057. Oh, sorry. Wait. I think we are filtering it, right? I think we are filtering it. That's why we are able to see that value. We look at the filter. Yeah, we already added the filter here, right? So it's filtering actually. Okay, so that for based on the filter, so the first value that we are getting is 2017, 5 and 17. Okay, so from that we just created an instance for the date format. So this O date format, it is just storing a pattern. Okay, so this is the pattern which it is storing. So then inside this new date, you're passing this date. So what I'm doing, why I've used new date, because if you look at this value, I'll tell you one thing. We are getting the value in this case, okay, in this pattern. But now you cannot directly manipulate this. Okay, you cannot manipulate the string value if you want to work with the dates. Whenever you want to work with the dates, we need a date object. Okay, and if you want a date object based on this pattern or based on this date value, so you need to provide the date value in the new date constructor. Okay, so this is standard constructor. If you're calling new date, always it will return a date instance or date object in this format. It will always return a current date with the time. Okay, so now you want a date object in this format. So for that, inside this new date, you will pass the date which we are getting from the data. Can you see now? So automatically we will receive or we will get a date object. That is Wednesday, May 17, 2017. Guys, give me 1 minute. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Yeah. So guys, where are we? So yeah. So whenever you want to work with the dates, right? So you need a date constructor. Okay. So now this is if you're calling new date, it means this is a constructor for the date and it will return the date in the object format. Okay. So this is what we need actually. So as this is already a string, so you cannot manipulate. So I'll tell you what is the difference between them. So if you write date normally, okay, so this will get in this format. But if I write new date, okay, I will store this information in one variable. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so now let's consider that I want to get the year from the date. So how I can write? I will write sdd dot get year, get full year. Okay, this is the advantage behind using a new date constructor. Okay, so you can get full year, you can also get month, everything it will help you. See, it will help you to get the month, it will help you to get the year, and it will also help you to get the date. Okay, and you can also get the hour, time, everything you can get from the date constructor. But if I have the date like this, what you can get, how you can get. If you want to get the year, then you need to write, you need to split this string, right? So which is for sure, it will be time consuming. And then for this, you need to write a lot of JavaScript code. Okay. So whenever you want to work with the date, right? So you create a date construction, date constructor. That would be a better option. So in this case, what we have done, so we just created this date library, get date time, and we created an instance of this date format, and we store that in ODate format. And after that ODate format, we are calling one method format. And inside this format, we are passing a date object. Okay, so this is the date object. And once you pass this date object, automatically based on the pattern, it will format that date and it will return. Okay, so that only it's getting displayed on the front end. So now, so again, this method, it will be called for the second date. For the second date, this is what the value we are getting. So again, it will manipulate and it will return on the front end. Again, it will go to the third and fourth. Likewise, so this method, it will be called for each and every record. And after manipulation, so this is how the date values will be formatted on the front end. Okay. So what we have done, I'll just explain it from the start. So as the name suggests, formatter is used for formatting the values. Okay, so in this case, I want to format a date. So for formatting the date, I created a separate folder for the formatters. And inside that, I have created a separate file for the formatter.js. Okay, so now inside this formatter.js file, if you look at the structure, okay, if you look at the syntax, it's similar to the controller. But only thing is that instead of extend, right? Instead of extending the controller, you don't have to extend the controller. You just remove that code and you just write a return keyword. And after the return keyword, you provide a structure in the object format. And inside the object format, you declared a methods. Okay, so far it's clear. Now after that, you need to format a date. So I have loaded a library for date format. Okay, inside the define section. So I have loaded the date format library. And after that, I provided that date format into this function. Okay. So then after that, you're calling return odate format dot format in which you're passing new date. Okay. So once this declaration is complete, so next thing is you need to call this date formatter or this formatted inside the controller. Okay. So you need to provide a path of the formatter file in this module section on the top. And at the end, you need to provide this information to the function. OK, and now you need to tell that this formatter, it can be accessible with the help of this local property formatter. OK, this is any name you can give to this formatter, this property name. OK, but this property name, it's coming from the function, the arguments that you're passing to this function. OK, it's similar. It is the parameter name that you're going to pass here. But the first name, right? This key name, it can be any name. This key name, it can be any name that you can provide. But I'm just keeping similar to the formatter so that there won't be any confusion. Actually, you can directly use formatter. OK, so once this is done, if you look at the view.xml file. OK, if you look at the view.xml file, so I'm just calling this formatter keyword colon in single quotes dot formatter dot the function name. This is the syntax that we need to follow whenever you want to call a formatter function inside the view.xml file. OK, and before you call, you have to declare the standard formatter keyword. OK, now this formatter function, inside this formatter function, so this value will be passed as an argument to this formatter function. OK, let's consider you want to pass one more value, so it can be passed easily. OK, same like that. Let's say you want to pass a multiple paths. So we have to use part. OK, so this we have to use parts. And then you need to follow the same syntax here also. OK, guys, any confusion in this? Any questions or queries?
Okay, you have used that use strict.
right?
Uh, actually,
What is the purpose,
uh,
right?
yeah, means
Okay, see, use strict means it is a standard JavaScript keyword. And then what it tells, it first of all, it will help you to identify a variables which are not declared. Means whenever you're going to use strict, right, it will help you to identify the variables which are not declared, and without declaring you're directly using it. The best practice is you have to declare a variable with the var keyword or let keyword, anything. You have to declare the variable first, and after that you can use it, right? So this
yes.
use strict keyword, it will help you to follow that practice.
Okay, so always
Okay.
use where. Okay,
Yes, you have to
okay.
declare a variable with the var keyword, and after that you need to use it.
Mhm.
You cannot use a variable directly without declaring it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Any questions, guys? See, for sure you need a practice for this formatter. Today, if you are going to practice, then only you will get a lot of questions, and that questions it can be clear tomorrow. Okay, so I will just export this project and you need to follow the structure. So you have to create a separate folder or separating or creating a new file for the formatter will also work. Okay, that won't be any problem. Okay, so create a separate formatter or JS file, and after that you declared a formatter function, and after that call that formatter function inside the view.xml file in this format. Okay, so but before you call, you need to load that formatter. Shit. Okay, wait, guys. Okay, yeah. So once okay, so the once the formatter file is created, so the next part is you go to the controller file. So on the top, we have a place. We have a place where you can load the libraries, and you can also load JS files. Okay, so there you need to provide a path of formatter file. Provide this formatter information as a parameter to this function, and after that, inside before the onInit function, okay, inside the extend, you need to load this fragment. You need to provide this formatter, sorry, you need to provide this formatter information to one local property formatter. Okay, this is the process, or this is the steps we have to follow. Load the formatter file, provide that formatter file information to the function, and then based on that, provide this formatter information in one local property formatter. So now if you want to call this formatter, you can use this formatter keyword. Let's say I want to change this. I'm going to write a custom formatter here. Custom formatter. I'm just changing this key name. Now let's see whether it's whether our formatter is working or not. Can you see now? Is it working? No, right?
No.
No.
Okay, now we need to provide this local property name inside the view, the place where we are calling the formatter. Okay, here we need to provide, not here. This is a standard keyword. Here we need to provide dot custom formatter dot the formatter method. Now can you see? Okay, so this is the process. So before you do, right, so you need to provide this formatter information. You need to pass this formatter information to a local formatter property.
Avik, how the date is being passed to that format.js?
Yeah, okay. See, so now
Not here,
what will
not here,
happen?
in that XML. Yes.
Where here?
Here, how you are passing that date to that format date of cell function?
Yeah, date of sale. That's why. So this is the standard binding we have done. Okay.
Okay.
So now inside the binding only, we have
It is taken from
provided
the
this
binding itself.
binding in one path.
Okay.
And in this formatter function, right? So as soon as you call the formatter function, so whatever path is there in this, automatically this value will be provided to this function.
Yeah, got it, got it.
Okay. So you can also pass a multiple information here. Let's consider I want to pass instead of date of sale, I want to pass means I'll do one thing. Okay. We can do one thing. One thing I can do. Uh, 1 second.
So this path is the parameter for that function.
Yes, this path is the parameter for that function. And there is also a feasibility to pass a multiple parameters to the function. Okay, that only I'm just trying to show you now. Uh,
And one more doubt is there, Avik, that you have to define the path, right? Project one and formatter in that uh, sorry, registration page controller. So,
Yes.
my question is that, like, although it's a part of a project, the formatter file means, so even though we are defining over here just to ensure that controller should know the definition and it should be able to access. So similarly
Yes.
for other folders like model, i18, so whenever we are going to use, so we also have to define model over here, or means
No, 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 no.
we don't, we have not
Model.
defined anything like
Yes.
other folders we have not defined. Only formatter we have defined. So that I
Yes.
want to understand the concept. Why we, yeah.
Yeah. Why are we defining? Because see the formatter, it is a separate JS file. Okay. It's not like a library. It's not like any control. Okay, it's just a definition and it's just a JavaScript file which you have to tell controller specifically that if I want to manipulate, if I want to do some business logic, so that can be achieved with the help of this formatter. So once I provide this formatter inside the custom variable or say this custom property, so based on that, this formatter file or that formatter function, it will be called from the view.xml file. Why I need to define? Because let's say I'm not going to call this formatter. Then how you will point out to this formatter? Any idea? For model, yes, model once you define inside the manifest, you can call that model with the help of this dot get owner component dot get model. But how you will call the formatter? Formatter is not a control here. Now you're getting it right. It's not a controller. Okay. It's not even a library. It's just a file which has the information, which has some methods or JavaScript code, which we can use and which we can call on runtime.
Okay. So we can use like if we are using this. So we have some different controller. Like there are more like two, three controllers are there. So over there
Yes.
also we have to define this formatter over there.
Yes.
Okay. Wherever we are
Okay.
good, and it's a.
Yeah,
Mhm, mhm.
for every
My,
controller means let's consider if you have 3 or 4 controllers. So for every controller, we have to call this formatter. We have to tell a controller specifically that this is the formatter and we need to load this formatter and we need to provide that information in one local property. Then only the view can easily access the formatter information and view should be able to call the formatter on runtime.
Okay, so can I say one thing like
Mhm,
generally we use in a web also? So
mhm.
means reusability, the feature we can use in formatter like the same functionality like
Yes,
the date part.
yes.
So why
We
to again and again write the function so we can create at a one specific formatter and we can use it
right.
wherever we want. That can be said.
Yes, yes. You can also use the formatter for the common functions. Okay. You can also use means for the
Okay.
reusability purpose. If you are declaring one method inside the formatter, and then that method you want to call in multiple places. So rather than writing the code for 5 or 10 times, you can declare it once inside the formatter. And with the help of the process we followed, right, the steps we followed for loading the formatter file inside the controller, you just need to load that formatter. And then with the help of this local property, you can call that method inside any controller.
Okay.
Okay, so
And
reusability can be done.
mhm,
But one thing I can suggest,
mhm.
instead of using formatter, you can use base controller. Okay, there is a concept of base controller, which we are going to cover in routing and navigation. Because see, formatter, as the name suggests, you only use this file for formatting purpose. Okay, if you want to format the text, if you want to format the date, so for such things, you use the formatter. But let's say instead of using the formatter, I mean, there are a couple of methods where you're doing the calculation, some mathematical calculations. You're writing some common code for getting some data. For such things, you don't have to use formatter. You can use a file-based controller. Okay. So yeah, for sure, we will cover that topic maybe today or tomorrow. Okay. So,
Okay.
so far
Okay.
it's clear, Manish.
Yes, it's clear. But
Okay.
I,
But
as
yeah,
we explore more, means I want to, means I think I have to practice that part because I want to understand what else we can write in the formatter because as the name
anything
suggests,
you
like
can write.
date, text.
Anything you can write inside the formatter. You can also declare the controls if you want to, and you can return that control information. Okay, let's consider I'm going to declare a control here. I'm going to create a constructor, and if you want that constructor to be written, that control to be written, so that is also possible. Anything you can write, but what I want to say, to follow the best practice, right? So you should use this formatter.js file only for formatting purpose. So in this case, as I have added the function for date formatting. Okay, only use this formatter.js file for the formatting purposes. Don't use this file for any other thing like for mathematical calculation or some business logic, whatever you are going to write. So that things you don't write it here. For that, you can use the base controller. Okay, is it fine now?
Yes, yes, got it.
Avik, just a last question.
Yes.
Uh, can we go to that view on view
Okay.
file? Uh, Scroll up once. No, where you have added that formatter column formatter in control
This one.
HM.
Okay,
Then,
that controller part. Okay,
uh,
this one.
yes, yes. Suppose we have another formatter.js file and we want
Mm-hmm.
to load it in the view.
Mm-hmm.
The
So
we need
one more path you need to provide here.
okay path
One more.
and one more we need to add in the line number 14.
Yes. In
Okay.
function also you will pass one more parameter, and in
Uh,
on line number 14 means after that you can declare one more local property.
so that that particular file can be loaded to the view and we can use it there.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
got
So for sure one file would be enough, I would say. But yeah, in couple of cases means there can be a case like let's say instead of formatted you want to use JS PDF. So it is a third party JS library. Now such things you want to use inside the controller. So yeah, we can use that still. Okay, so guys, any questions in this formatter?
no, no.
Okay, you can also use this formatter for other things. Like I'll tell you one thing now. So let me open SAP UI5 icons library. Okay, SAP icons. Now I'm going to add one more logic, a simple logic, okay, in formatter. So in which I'm going to format icons. Okay. just for readability purpose. Okay, so as you can see, we are not displaying any quantity information, whether it's in stock or out of stock, nothing we are displaying it, right? So let's say stock. I'm declaring, okay, I'm going to declare one more variable here, sorry, one more column. Okay, now instead of date of sale, I'm passing quantity here. We have one quantity. So I will pass this quantity only here. Okay, now instead of format date of scale, okay, so here I will use icon. Okay, SRC. Now see, 1 second, this icon. Who is there already? So I'm going to display icons. Okay, stock. If we don't have. Okay, you can guys, you can also use third party. Okay, so for third party, we 1 second, I'll in stock PNG icons. So we have one. Yeah, we have one site flat icon. Here you will get it each icons. Okay. Yes, this is stock. Okay. So let's say I want to display. I want to display this this icon in stock. Okay, let me download it in small size, maybe 32. Okay, looks like. Looks like it is now paid. Okay, so PNG icon, I'm just going to download this. So the icon is downloaded now here. Now I'll create a separate folder where I will have all the images. Okay, I'm just going to. Yeah, so there is drag and drop feature available here, guys. If you don't know, so there is a drag and drop feature available. Okay, so I'll do one thing. I'll just drag. Okay, I'm going to provide in this image. Okay, can you see now? So under this image, we have this icon. Okay, so this is our icon. Now I'm just going to rename.
Okay, so it is now saved in a project, right?
Yes, it
It
is
can
saved in the
be
project.
okay.
Opening it might take some time. Yes. Okay, so the now next is Next is out of stock. Okay, so now I'm going to use this icon. 64 download. Go back to okay. Out of stock icon is there. Now just rename it. Fine. Now we have a two icons, in stock and out of stock. Okay. So now I want to display these icons on this icon control. Okay. And that is also with the help of formatter function. So how I can do that? So now inside the format quantity, sorry. I'll just go back to the formatter. I'll declare one more function. And this function, it will receive the quantity information. Okay. Now I will just add a condition. I will declare one variable as a s path, because at the end we need a path which need to be passed of this icons, right? To the icon, to the source property of the icon. If quantity is greater than 0, then the icon should be different, right? Path should be like this. Means how it should be. Let's consider you are inside dot slash images slash in stock dot png. Okay, this is the path, and I'm going to write return as path. Okay, otherwise else of in stock, it should be out of stock. Okay, fine. Now this is the logic. Okay, basic logic which will generally format the icons. Okay, now let's see. Okay, looks like our icons are not coming here. Code icon src and path. So it's not loading. Formatter file dot slash. Okay, guys, then we have to use image. Sorry for that. Okay, let's use image. Can you see now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, as of now, in every record, we have a quantity available, actually. That's why we are able to see this icon. Okay, but let's consider. Uh,
Dynamically, can't we make quantity 0 and then check?
no, no, no. Why you want to make the quantity 0?
No, no, but just to get that out of stock one icon.
Yeah, yeah. What I will do, I'll just we have this file, right?
Achha.
I'll just make this 0 in a couple of places. Okay, now let's see.
I think we have a filter, na? Greater than 1000
Yes,
or
yes.
what? That yes.
Can you see now?
Yes.
Okay. Why now? Okay, so you can also use formatter for icons. Means on dynamically on runtime based on the quantity. If you want to provide a path of icon. Okay, that let's say if the quantity is 0, you want to display this icon. Let's say if the quantity is greater than 0, the icon is different. So in that case also you can use the formatter. Okay, I hope this is good. I mean, it was clear at least the formatter.
Yes, Abhi.
Okay, so yeah, and I'll just export this project also. Okay, so now the last topic is expression binding. So expression binding and formatter both are almost same. Okay, expression binding you can use for formatting. You can also use for result for evaluating the expression on runtime. Okay, so I'll tell you what is a expression binding. So expression binding means you are just evaluating the expression on runtime. Means, for example, let's say you want to make this record. You don't want to display this record based on some condition. Okay, so you can add an expression binding there. Same like how we are adding a JavaScript code. Let's say if you are getting the quantity as 0, that record should be disabled. That record, it should not be visible on front end. Okay, so like such things, if let's say if you want to add an expression, so you can add it. So expression binding, you can add it only on data binding. Means whenever you are going to add a data binding, right, you can use the expression binding in that case. So you are just adding an expression and then your value will be formatted. Okay, so I'll show you a couple of examples. I will just search for expression binding. Okay, you can search for expression binding in SAP UI5. Okay, a simple example I will explain here from this so that it would be more clear. Okay, let's consider visible properties there. Okay, so from controller, how we add a visible, right? Set visible, and in that you will pass true or false. Okay, so now let's consider you want to make a control visible true or false based on some condition. Okay, based on some expression. So now in this case, what they are checking if status is triple equal to critical. Okay, if they're getting status as critical and amount is greater than 1000. Okay, if both of these conditions are satisfied, if status is critical and if amount is greater than 10,000. So automatically this expression will be expression, it will be evaluated, and based on that it will just return true. Okay, if both of the conditions are satisfying. So if any one of the condition is not satisfying, it will return false to this visible property. We don't have to define true or false here. Automatically based on this expression, right? So it will return true or false. If you want to provide a true or false, that is also fine. That will also work. Okay, same like that, they have provided a couple of other examples, like if amount is greater than 10,000, so question mark is given. So you can get the text from i18, that is for high, and you can also get the text from normal. Okay, so again there is one more example for rating. So they are just checking if the rating is VIP. So if it is VIP, or if amount is greater than 10,000. If any one of the condition is satisfying, so that it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. Okay. So you can also evaluate a condition, like let's say you are displaying multiple values on runtime. So from that you want to display a maximum value. So you already have value 1, value 2, and value 3 in the model. And then from that you want to display a maximum one, you can use math.max inside that binding syntax. Okay, so guys, do one thing. I will just provide you the syntax. Okay, now you just need to explore this. Come to this. I'll ping you this in chat. Okay, so I'll just add one example here. So rest you just need to explore this. Okay, based on that, depending on your requirement, you can try and you can explore this expression binding. Okay, so let's do one thing now. I'm just going to add expression binding to this custom list item. Okay, so for example, what I'm going to do, as of now, you're able to see this record, right? First and second record, you're able to see. Now, instead of displaying this right record, I'm just going to add a expression binding. So which will disable this records. Okay, means you will not see this records on the front end side. So I'm going to add a visible property there to the custom list item. If the quantity is greater than 0, so then only this item will be displayed. And if the quantity is not 0, if the quantity is 0, so the items are not going to be disabled. Means they are not visible on the front end side. We are hiding those values. Okay, we are hiding those records. So if I want to hide these records, I need to add a visible property. So for adding a visible property, so for column list item, there is a visible property which is available. So I'm going to add a visible. And now here I'm going to add an expression binding. So for expression binding, it will work it inside the standard binding syntax. Okay. So first you need to add opening and closing curly brackets. And then inside that you need to add equal to sign and then give dollar sign. And again, you have to provide opening and closing brackets. And inside that you need to provide a path of this quantity. And then if you're writing if quantity is greater than 0, okay, you can write true or false. Before you write, you need to provide a question mark. Okay, so this is one way. Okay, now let's see. Okay. Okay, false is of type string. Yeah. Okay, now it will work. True or false, it is Boolean values, right? Can you see those records here now? Out of stock records. Why? Because we have kept it hidden. Okay, we hided those records. And how we have hided? With the help of expression binding. So I just added an expression, means see this expression whenever any person will add expression, right? First of all, you have to use standard binding syntax, opening and closing curly brackets. Inside that, use equal to sign, and then use dollar sign. And after that, use after the dollar, you have to provide the path. Okay, this is your actual path of the quantity. So I've added that if the quantity is greater than 0, it should pick true. Otherwise, it should pick false. Okay. So if I'm not going to add this, still this will work. Okay, I have just removed true and false. So on runtime, it will just evaluate that expression and it will return true or false. Can you see now? Still it will work. Okay. Guys, are you getting this? Okay, so one thing always you have to keep in mind, if you're adding a expression binding, okay, your two-way binding will not work in that case. Always remember that. Okay. Whenever you're going to add an expression binding, so your two-way binding will not work. Means if user is going to enter a value inside the input field, so that value, it won't update inside the JSON model, because two-way binding won't support if you are going to add expression binding. Okay, that is one important thing you always have to remember. Okay, so now let's say if I want to add one more condition, if I want to add if quantity is greater than 0, and so see, as this is a XML, you cannot add and like this. Okay, because XML cannot identify this and operator. You need to pass this and operator, same like that how they have done it. So if you look at one example in this, where it is, yeah, can you see this? We need to escape. So they have already mentioned that formatter function means you cannot use this and greater than sign, because if you look at this greater than sign, okay, this greater than sign, you cannot use it directly. You need to ampersand it. Okay, you need to escape it. So there is a specification which is given for the XML. Okay, can you see here? They have already provided. Okay. So you can just go through this document once, and then based on that, let's say if you want to add a and, so how you need to add a and again some greater than sign or less than sign, everything they have provided here. You need to explore this document once. Okay, fine, guys. Guys, so if I want to use and, right, so I need to add this like this. I will just copy, I'll go back. Yes.
No, the syntax are different over here.
Yes,
And
syntax are little bit different.
yeah. For all, there is a pipe separator, right? Two times pipe separator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so only thing is that this and this dollar sign is there, right? So this dollar sign will be repeated based on the binding path. Means in this case, we used to add a path, right? If we are providing two paths here, so we used to add a path. But in case of column list, in case of expression binding, you have to use dollar sign. Dollar sign, opening and closing curly brackets, and inside that you need to provide a path. Okay. Let's say I'm going to add a quantity if quantity is greater than 0, and if price if price is less than 1000. What is the issue here? Price if it is less than 1000. Okay, why it is highlighted in red? Okay, 1 second. Go to the console, it will throw the error. Invalid XML. Say I'm going to add a curly brackets, rounded brackets here. Product model. Something I have missed, guys, here.
Uh, After and semicolon will come, right?
Yes, yes, that semicolon will work. Yeah, we need that semicolon here.
Uh,
Same only we have done, right? Nothing different. I don't know, something
there is
different.
some space, that middle curly bracket space. We need to provide.
No, that is fine. Yeah,
It's
that
fine.
won't be any problem. Yeah. Okay, 1 second. I'll say I'm going to add and AMP colon again and AMP semicolon. Okay, now if I want to add one more condition, say I'm going to add a product model for a second. Sorry, as soon as I add and then okay, it's working now. Okay, fine. If price is greater than, if price is less than, oh, now yeah, now you got it, guys. Greater than sign is it's identifying, but less than sign it's not identifying.
Yes.
So if I want to use, see, they have
Strange.
already mentioned. For example, use A greater than B instead of B and LT. Less than. So now in this case, if and less than, if no, it should be less
Semicolon
than
then. Yeah, that's
LT semicolon. That's it. Okay, now it will work. Okay, fine now, guys. Guys, you got it, right? You got it now, right? The syntax. Okay, this is the syntax. Okay, mostly you can use the expression binding for small things. Means, let's say you want to hide some controls, you want to enable, you want to make editable. For all these cases, you can use this expression binding. You can also add this expression binding to editable property. Means for admin, I want to make those input fields editable. But for customers, I want to make those field editable false. It won't be enabled for editing. So you can use expression binding. You can also use expression binding for visible property. Okay, so in couple of places you can use this expression binding. Okay, instead of writing this logic inside the controller, you can directly write it here with the help of expression. Okay, you got the difference, right? Okay, yeah, it's displaying only the properties, only the records for which quantity is greater than 0 and price is less than 1000. Okay, okay.
yes,
Okay,
Avi.
so let me export this backup. Okay, guys. Yeah, I think today is enough. Only hardly 10 minutes is remaining. So you want to utilize this time for practice, or shall we close this call for today?
We can close.
We can close, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, guys. Yeah. Okay, so please utilize today's day properly because a lot of things we have covered today. Resource model, i18, and formatter and expression binding. Okay, just practice it and let me know. So tomorrow also you're getting at least some time. So just practice it and let me know if you have any queries. Okay, so that we can discuss to at the start of the session. Okay, but from tomorrow onwards we are starting with routing and navigation. Okay.
Okay.
So routing and navigation, it is very important topic. So yeah, from tomorrow onwards, we can start with that. And after that, yeah, hardly after that, 2 weeks, 2 week session would be remaining. Hardly 4 or 5 days will be enough to complete this entire topics.
So we will be also covering that how to access the like if I want to means how we're going to integrate with some third party app like or through OData services that also is we are going to cover.
Third party like
Uh, Means we are
Means
getting some
integration with raw data actually.
see integration of data. We will see that. Okay. So that integration it can be done in this BAS only, BAS itself. That's not a problem. But third party means which type of integration? Like third party libraries like JS, PDF and all.
uh, means like generally in theory we take the data from SAP, but if so do we have any scenarios where we take data from some other third party apps, or have you got any? Because I have not seen till now about this, but we have just tried to integrate with the SFDC like the Salesforce through OData or PIPO, but I'm not aware that Fiori can we take the data from other source other than
Yeah,
SAP.
yeah, you can take the data from other source. That is possible. You can use the Ajax API. So we have a RESTful APIs, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
that RESTful APIs
Mhm.
you can use it with the help of Ajax call. You can read the data from third party also. But one thing which I can say that if you are going to use the third party, like let's say you want to access the data from outside world, which is not inside the SAP and all. So for sure
Mhm.
you will get a lot of security related issues, privacy related issues. Okay, cross origin kind of all the issues you will get it. But what SAP says means it's better that if you are working with the SAP data.
Right.
Okay, but if you means yeah, there are a few customers which they want to access the data from outside world. So for that you can use a destination. You can create a destination. You can configure the cloud connector, and after that you can use it.
Okay. Through CPI, you need to say.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys. Okay, let's connect
Thank
tomorrow
you.
at in the evening time 8 a.m. 8 p.m.
Okay.
Okay. So bye bye. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.